All right, guys. So for a lot of you that watch the channel know that for a living, what I do is I do paint correction and ceramic coatings predominantly on high-end vehicles. And for the most part, I do all of that work out of this garage. I do have a buddy's shop that I use for bigger stuff, trucks, SUVs that won't fit in the garage. But I'd say 90% of my business runs out of this small 20 by 20 garage plus little bonus area for all the tools. It would be cool to make a video for people that are just getting into this to show you kind of how to set up a garage, what tools you need to get started in this industry. So I'm gonna walk you guys around, show you what we got going here, and hopefully it helps somebody. This thing is the floor in the work area over here, the shop area. Turn the camera around. I have hard race deck. This was what was in the whole garage, but I just recently switched to race decks free flow. So this will let water go through it. So if you do get some water dripping off cars, it will dry and not get underneath the other floor and cause an issue with mold or whatever. So I just switched to the free flow. I've done a few cars with this in here now, and I love it. For those that are asking, yes, chairs still roll on this stuff completely fine. You can use jacks on it, but you probably should put something down on a jack. So the floor is race deck. To do this whole garage, I get asked a lot, was $1,200 with their Black Friday sale. So I think it should have been around $1,500. It saved me a few dollars. But yeah, I can't say enough about race deck. They're great. The flooring's awesome. In fact, I don't think epoxy is the best move because the floor will get really slippery unless you have tons of grit in it. This is a great alternative to epoxy, and it looks cool. I think it looks way cooler than epoxy personally. All right, as far as polishers, obviously you don't need this many polishers. I'm actually just sent out my LHR 75, which is the mini, the iBird. That's the cordless Rupes 3-inch dual action polisher. I just sent that in for repair. Rupes is awesome with repairs, by the way. So these are all my polishers. The two polishers I probably use the most are the same. This is Bigfoot LHR 15. This is the Mark III. They came out with a Mark V. I tried a couple of those, don't like them. So I picked up another Mark III just to have a backup if this one ever goes down. I do sometimes if I'm doing a 3 or 4 stage, I'll pull out both of these just to have different pads on each one. So I'm not switching pads every time I'm switching. I can just grab the other polisher. The other 15-inch or 15 mil, sorry, short throw polisher I have is the Milwaukee Fuel. This thing's real heavy. If you have a bunch of these batteries, this could be a good option if you're just trying to get into it. It is a good tool. It's really heavy. I typically only grab this when I'm doing roofs where I don't want to have a cord hanging over my shoulder, or hoods where I don't really want the cord hanging over. Then this is the same thing as the dual action Bigfoot, but this is a 21, a little bit bigger throw, 6-inch backing plate. These are all 5-inch backing plates. Then we have Max Shine rotary. If you're just getting into this, you probably don't want to start with a rotary, but don't be scared of a rotary. Turn it down, use it right. Rotary is gonna cut a lot faster. You can finish with it, but typically I will use a rotary for big cuts or edge work where I don't want the DA is with its oscillation, can't get up into those edges real nice. So that's when I'll grab a rotary. Then I have Max Shine, or Shine Mate, sorry, another DA 3-inch. Really never use this tool because I use my 3-inch Rupes 75, the iBird. But this is a good tool, very budget friendly, works awesome. This is an iBird Nano. Right now I have it set up rotary. You can set this up rotary or DA. This is an invaluable tool. A lot of the 1-inch polishers don't have enough power. This one has plenty of power. You can set it up with a 1-inch or 2-inch backing plate, and you can run it rotary or dual action. With a 2-inch backing plate, you probably just want to run it DA. But I would say 90% of the time I use this tool, I have it set up rotary for door cups or edge work or grills, stuff that I can't get in with any other polisher. So just to go over the polishers here so you guys can see them a little closer. LHR 15 Mark III, most used tool in the garage by far. That's why I have 2 of them. This is the Fuel M18 15. So these all have a 15 mil throw. This one's battery operated. These are both electric, obviously plug in. 2 most important tools, best polisher ever made in my opinion, is this unit. This is a Bigfoot 21, bigger throw. This is one step down from this polisher as far as I guess quality. The only real difference is that this doesn't have a progressive trigger. This does have a progressive trigger where you can modulate the throttle so you don't have to turn the speed down when you're just getting going. But other than that, they're essentially the same machines. The head's a little bit different on the two. This is a little softer grip. Max Shine rotary. Shine Mate 3-inch. Man, this tool's heavy. Forget how heavy that tool is. Never grab it. And the 3-inch or 1-inch iBird Nano. Love this tool. They just came out with a new one now that has heads that change, pop in and out. Apparently has a little bit more power. The new one does look way cooler, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't see myself getting one of those just because it looks cooler. And you can change the heads easily, since 99% of the time I have this set up exactly how you see it with the extension and in rotary. And like I said, my other tool isn't here right now that I love, that I probably use the most. So if you're just getting going one more time, you need a 5-inch backing plate. DA would be what I would suggest, and then a 3-inch. You could do a corded, something cheap like the Shine Mate. It's a good tool, or bite the bullet and get a Rupes. But yeah, if you're gonna do it, buy once, cry once. You guys have better look at these racks, how they work. So they just have a cutout on the top. They're hollow in the back if you wanted to make these on your own. And then the cords get stuffed up inside, so the cords are out of the way. I just sticker bond them just to give them some color, but you could paint them. You could do whatever you want. You can buy racks like this, but my dad made both of these for me, and they are invaluable. They get the cords out of the way. They look cool. And yeah, just where your polishers are at all the time. Next thing I'm going to talk about, which is the most important part in detailing by far, is your lighting. I have on just a couple of my lights in here right now because they do mess with the camera. You could just see that one mess with the camera where I scrolled, but I'll flick some on here for you just so you can get an idea of how bright we can get this garage. You kind of want stuff at levels where you can see it. My stuff is kind of everywhere, but another light here. This big light up here is really bright. I typically back cars in to that corner with the back of the car there. So there's tons of lights on the back. There's all these lights up here. So yeah, we get it super bright in here, and some more inspection lights over there. That one next to the door, obviously. There's this guy over here. That is the most important tool you can have, because if you can't see what you're working on, it doesn't do you any good. One more controversial thing I'll say about lights is do not get the hexagon lights that everyone wants in their shop because they look cool on camera. They do look cool, don't get me wrong. But if you are looking at paint, specifically black paint, and you have all these crazy angles in the light, it makes the job harder. Don't put those lights in your shop, the hexagon lights. Don't do it. Put lights in a straight line in your shop, and you'll thank me later. There's a reason when guys that do paintless dent removal, they use straight lights. They don't use lights that are hexagons because of how it throws light on the car. Don't do it. Over here is where I charge everything. These are the batteries for a tool that isn't here right now. The 75, have 4 of those batteries. This is for the Mini, and then just my Milwaukee charger for my Milwaukee batteries over here. A few more products also hanging on the wall. Another super crucial thing I will say is definitely get yourself a scan grip light, even if it's this one or the one that's smaller than this, to be able to really see what you're getting out of your cuts, and to look at paint when a car shows up, or take this with you if you're going to look at a car to really see what condition it's in. You can change the temperature of this light. So this is an invaluable tool. These are not cheap. Scan grip tools are not cheap, but well worth the money. Another thing worth buying is a paint thickness gauge. This is not an expensive paint thickness gauge, but this will at least give you a decent idea of how thick the paint is. It's not going to be really exact, but I always use mils, and it lets you know how much you can cut on a vehicle. This is my toolbox. So you're going to need some tools to, be able to take off stuff on cars that you need to get around when polishing. Obviously, you don't need this big of a collection of tools, but you need some basic stuff, screwdrivers and some wrenches and some sockets and ratchets. But that's that box. Not super important for detailing, but you're definitely gonna need some tools. This is the pad toolbox. So it's a little messy right now, but I have a little bit of everything in here. I don't know, there's probably 100 pads in here total. Some wool pads. I use a lot of Rupes stuff for the DA. I really like their DA pads probably the most. So I have, a lot of those always in inventory. I like CarPro's wool pad probably the most. So a lot of stuff for rotary over here. Rupes rotary wool pad. This is a mixed Max Shine wool pad. Some waffle pads for the rotary. And, you can get a lot of life out of a pad. These are all microfiber pads over here. You'll be able to do 3-4 cars with a pad. Sometimes a lot more, depending on how hard you're pushing and how much you're cutting. But this top is all 5-inch pads. And then this drawer is all 3-inch pads. Same thing, a lot of Rupes stuff. Some wool pads for rotary. This is rotary pad, wool pad. This is a 2 and 3-inch drawer. So a bunch of pads are inside that just got washed. I did a bunch of stuff with the 1-inch. My wool 1-inch rotary pads are all inside. They just got cleaned. This is drying towels. I do like the CarPro ones. These are actually from Temu, and I tried about 15 different towels from Temu because these are $2.50 for these big towels, and this is essentially the exact same towel as the CarPro. I mean, I can't really tell a difference. I don't know if it's the same manufacturer or what, but that's the best drying towel I found on Temu. I bought a ton of them because they were so cheap. This is the 6-inch drawer. So these are all 6-inch pads. I never run a 6-inch rotary. So these are all dual action pads. This drawer is all my good microfiber. So these are CarPro 2-Face towels. This is the best towel out there, period. End of story for leveling ceramic coatings. I'll usually use one of the Rag Company's towels to level first pass, and then these for the final wipe off. This is the best microfiber out there. Stop looking if you're looking for a do anything microfiber. I use this to wipe off polish, and like I said, I use it for the first step in leveling ceramic. Now, if you're just getting into this might look overwhelming. All these pads. Do I need all these pads? You do not. If I was just getting into this with a DA, like I said, I would start with some microfiber cutting pads. This is Rupes. I have Lake County. I have everybody's in here. Honestly, this is an expel pad, but I would start with a microfiber pad, and then I would get some yellow foam pads from Rupes, and that will get you basically a long way, depending on how what polishes you combine with what pad here, and what pad you combine, or what polish you combine it with the foam pad to finish. I would not start with a wool pad if you're just getting into this. This is going to cut a ton, but if you have somewhere to practice, maybe your own vehicle, a wool pad, especially this on a DA turned up, is going to cut a lot. It definitely keeps the heat down versus a microfiber pad. You're going to have a lot less heat with a wool pad, but it is going to cut a lot. And I do use this CarPro wool pad on a dual action machine, and it will remove a ton of clear cut. I'd put this up on a DA up against a rotary with a wool pad. It cuts amazing. So that's kind of an idea on the pads. I've tried everything. If anyone has a question on what pad, I do like this pad a lot too, I should say. This is actually McGuire's pad, the soft buff. This thing is awesome for a medium compound in between heavy cut and your finish. This is a great pad. This is all my extra backing plates in here and brushes. You're definitely going to need brushes for tools. As they get old, you need to replace them. So all that stuff just kind of lives right there. Other important thing you have to have on your detailing is air. My compressor lives under here, and this is door goes straight to outside. So when I'm blowing off pads, I do it right outside this door. You have to have an air compressor in your shop if you're going to be detailing, period. You can use brushes to clean pads, but nothing's going to clean them better than blowing them off with a compressor between rounds. What, you sleeping, buddy? Oh, you're sorry, I woke you up. And as far as coatings, I am an Expel installer, so I use, this is from this year. See, I've done a lot of coatings, but I use Fusion Plus Premium V2. This is their highest end coating. It goes on very thick. It's very durable. But like I said, you have to be a certified installer to use this. If you were just getting into this, when friends come over and I help them do their cars and they bring their own coating to teach them, typically I have them buy a Cerakote for a consumer level product. For those that ask, I would say Cerakote. But as far as the best coating, in my opinion, out there, there's a ton of great ones. Don't get me wrong, but I've had great luck with Expel. They're great to work with. Their stuff is relatively expensive, but all professional ceramic coatings with warranties that last as long as this lasts are. People ask about my power washing setup. So I have water coming out of the house. This is filtered water, and it runs along the floor. And right now I'm actually just using a Ryobi pressure washer, which this thing is really good. They did just come out with an automotive one that is 1.8 gallons a minute. So it flows more water, not as much PSI, but that's probably the best thing if you're getting into this, the new Ryobi made specifically for automotive. Then I just have this running up to this reel, which is invaluable. This is a 50-foot hose, plenty of distance to be able to wash any car outside. Over here we have some product that I use. This is all stuff that gets sold to customer that I try to keep in stock. It says D-Scale. This is an acidic wash. Should be used every fifth wash, especially for vehicles that are parked outside. They get environmental fallout. This is acidic, little lower pH. So use that. Reset. Every customer leaves with this. This is just the industry standard, in my opinion, as far as soap to wash a coated vehicle. And then everyone leaves with Hydro O2 Light, which is just a water activated silica. And this is a great topper, a great alternative to, a spray on wipe off. You're touching the car less. Hydro O2 from CarPro is awesome. Those are just a couple. I've made videos where I highlight a bunch of these products, but as you can see, I use a ton of CarPro stuff. These are just spray bottles. These are actually the ones from Home Depot. They are awesome. This is just tire cleaner, and this is waterless wash. So if I'm waterless washing a car in here, I can soak it, foam cannon, lift, retire, and then some of the polishes I use are down here. Essence I use as a finishing polish a lot. This is a primer. So for coated vehicles, this is a great last step. Use some Sonax. I've been testing out Expel's new polishes, and I do really like these. If you're just getting into this and you're looking for a polish with long work time, I would say Expel is right up there for the longest work time, next to something like Sonax. Perfect finish. This is probably, if you were polishing a black car, this is the best polish to finish a black car with, in my opinion. Unless you're going real crazy, then you use Uno Pure. This has no fillers, nothing. This is more of a jeweling agent. So when I'm doing show cars or black cars, Cadillac colors that are really hard to finish, this is a great option for a polish. Just a Harbor Freight cart. And in the drawer, just have some brushes, clay bar, some plastic razor blades, brushes. I don't really do many interiors, so I don't have a lot of interior products. Up here, just some more polishes. The big boy cut, shock to cut. If you really want to take off a bunch of clear coat fast, this is probably my favorite compound. Super dusty because you're taking off a lot of clear, but this stuff cuts amazingly. Also for race car guys, I don't really use anything griots. This is the only thing I have, but this is an amazing product for taking rubber off your rear quarter panels from doing burnouts. It will wipe right off, no grease. That is a amazing product. Masking tape, also super important. Use a ton of masking tape. Scotch-Brite pads, these are for cleaning windows. I use this with glass cleaner. A couple more important things that no one really thinks about is sound system. You're going to have the music on when you're out here working. So I have speaker radio in here that powers those speakers, but I would say 90% of the time I have something on the TV, which comes through this sound bar and this subwoofer. So whether I'm watching, have a podcast on in here, and I can Bluetooth that to my headphones for some ear protection if I'm running the louder polishers. But it is important to have jams out in here when you're working. Another commonly overlooked thing is a chair. So when you are detailing and you have a polisher in your hand for an entire day, having a quality chair to sit in, I cannot tell you how important it is. This is a Viper chair. They are not cheap, but think about it as your desk chair. If you have an office job, you are sitting in this thing for hours a day. I upgraded to this chair. Carl, get out of the picture. Come on, man. I upgraded this chair last year, and it has changed my life. My back, it's adjustable up and down. I highly recommend a Viper chair, and you can see how nice it rolls on this floor. One more tool that is kind of important is a blower. I just have the Ryobi. I do have a Milwaukee over there too, but this is the one I use for blowing cars off, especially if you put Hydro O2 on them or they're already coated and they are going to shed water really nice. I just have an adapter on this because I have a bunch of M18 batteries. Amazon adapter, I think is $8. So that's another important tool to have in your arsenal. Another important thing is if you live in a state like Michigan, where it is obviously snowing again, is how do you keep the garage warm? A lot of guys use the diesel heaters. That's a great option, but I don't want to run exhaust in here and I want to get diesel heat. So I honestly run a 240, this little heater. It is 240. This little thing will take the garage from 45 degrees to 70 in a half an hour. This little guy absolutely rips. It's 240. It's not the greatest thing on energy, but that does an awesome job in heating the garage, because when you are ceramic coating, you do need to have the temperature 65 or higher. Most coatings will say that right on it, but I try to coat at 70 degrees. I try to have it 70 in here and have the humidity relatively the same, just to have consistent results. So that's how I keep it warm in here. I do have insulation on the garage and the garage door, and this wall, this wall, this wall, and this wall are all surrounded by house. So the garage actually does a pretty good job of staying warm. And then in the summer when I need AC, it's too hot in here, I have an AC that goes over there and out that window. So that's kind of how I have the garage set up. If you're just getting into this, you want to do this full time, or just want to set your garage up to be able to detail cars, specifically paint correction and ceramic coating. Hopefully that helps somebody. If you guys have questions on how to get started in this field, feel free to leave a comment. I'll try to respond to as many of those as possible. For those of you that are looking for Mustang content, we did go run my car this year. We had an awesome outing at Street Car Takeover, made the final. So hopefully we will have more content with that. I am doing a bunch of upgrades over the winter to the Freedom Fox, and I'll do my best to share that with you guys here over the winter at some point. Hope that helps. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. See you. Peace.